In the sweltering heart of Moscow, 1982, a city teetering on the precipice of unrest, whispers of corruption echoed through the labyrinthine alleyways, slipping beneath the shadows cast by the crumbling edifices that lined its streets. The oppressive summer heat hung heavy in the air, suffocating all who dared to walk its cobblestone paths. The powerful figure of Yuri Andropov, chairman of the KGB and a towering presence within the Communist Party's Central Committee, stirred unease among the city's leadership with his cryptic warnings. His eyes, like two polished onyx stones set in a weathered face, seemed to bore into the very soul of each man he encountered, leaving them questioning their loyalty and their place within this complex web of power. A stone's throw away, nestled between the towering spires that define the Moscow skyline, stood the Eliseevsky grocery store, a bastion of luxury in a city where rationing was as much a part of daily life as bread and potatoes. Its opulent facade, adorned with gilded scrollwork and gleaming marble, belied the dark secrets that lay within its walls. As rumors swirled of embezzlement and misappropriated funds, the city's eyes turned to Yuri Sokolov, a man who had risen swiftly through the ranks of the trade bureaucracy, his charisma and charm earning him admiration from many, while raising suspicions in others. A decorated general in the eyes of some, yet a pariah to others, he stood accused of lining his pockets at the expense of his people's suffering. In this city where loyalty was currency and betrayal was punished with the cruelty of the state, Yuri Sokolov found himself entwined in a web spun by his own ambition, a web that threatened to bring down not only him, but those closest to him as well. The ground shook beneath their feet as they awaited the verdict, the tension palpable in every whispered word and furtive glance. The city of Moscow held its collective breath, grappling with its admiration for these tarnished heroes and the evidence that lay before them. As the trial unfolded, each revelation served as a mirror, reflecting the darker corners of their own souls and forcing them to confront the true nature of power and corruption within their beloved nation. And as the verdict was delivered, they could not help but wonder, how far would one go to maintain their hold on power in the face of truth and justice? In the suffocating confines of a Soviet prison cell, Yuri Sokolov, once a beacon of admiration, now found himself a captive of his own ambition. The cold, unforgiving steel walls bore witness to a man whose dreams had turned into nightmares. The air was thick with the stench of decay and desperation, a poignant reminder of Sokolov's fall from grace. A lone light fixture flickered overhead, casting long shadows that danced on the bare walls. The rusted iron bed sat ominously in one corner, its emptiness a testament to the man who once filled it with dreams and aspirations. As Sokolov's eyes roamed the cell, they seemed to glaze over, as if the weight of his past deeds had etched their mark on his very soul. Memories flooded back, each one a building block in the construction of this man who now stood on the precipice of ruin. Flashbacks painted vivid images of a young Yuri Sokolov, an ambitious officer rising through the ranks of the Soviet trade bureaucracy with an unmatched fervor. His ascent seemed miraculous to some, yet whispers of corruption trailed him like a dark specter, casting a shadow over his every achievement. Sokolov's charisma and charm had opened doors that were supposed to remain closed, but the price was steep. Bribes were exchanged, deals brokered behind closed doors, and Yuri Sokolov found himself standing on the precipice of wealth and power beyond his wildest dreams. As the years passed, the whispers grew louder, but Yuri Sokolov remained unyielding in the face of scrutiny. His motivations were never straightforward. Power and ambition, it seemed, had long replaced patriotism as his driving force. Yet, even amidst the swirling chaos of corruption and deceit, Yuri Sokolov maintained a veneer of respectability, leaving many to wonder what truly lay beneath that polished exterior. Now, in this Soviet prison cell, those secrets threatened to unravel, exposing the tarnished hero for all to see. The cold steel walls bore witness not only to Yuri Sokolov's fall from grace, but to the darker side of success that had eluded many. As the sun dipped below the horizon and the cell was plunged into darkness, one could almost hear the echoes of whispers, a haunting reminder of the price one pays for ambition and power in the heart of Moscow. In the hallowed chambers of justice, Bathed in the soft glow of recessed lights, the trial of Yuri Sokolov unfolded like a spectacle. The hushed whispers of anticipation reverberated off ancient stone walls as the people of Moscow watched with bated breath. On one side, standing resolute and stern, was Yuri Andropov, chairman of the KGB, his eyes blazing with an unwavering determination to see justice served. On the other, a shadowy figure cloaked in ambiguity, Victor Grishin, political rival of Sokolov, now faced with allegations that threatened to undermine his standing within the Communist Party. The courtroom, a temple of justice, bore witness to the tense standoff between these two titans. Andropov, a man of steel, was relentless in his pursuit of truth and justice, even if it meant challenging the very foundations of Soviet society. Grishin, though, seemed unfazed by the weight of accusation, his eyes betraying a flicker of defiance. As Sokolov's testimony painted a damning picture of corruption within the city's trade hierarchy, the air in the courtroom grew heavy with tension. The people, once captivated by the successes of these leaders, now found their faith shaken to its very core. Andropov, however, remained resolute, his gaze never wavering from Grishin, the target of his scrutiny. The trial, a pivotal moment in Moscow's tumultuous history, was a testament to the fragile nature of power and ambition. As the verdict loomed, the people grappled with their newfound disillusionment, left to wonder how deep the corruption within their leaders ran. For Andropov, the political battle was far from over. For Grishin, the stakes were higher than ever. The fate of innocent lives hung in the balance as this game of political chess unfolded, a tense dance between power and justice that would forever change the course of Moscow's history. In the dimly lit courtroom, the air hung heavy with tension, a palpable silence that seemed to choke even the most resilient souls present. The trial of Yuri Sokolov had become an unprecedented spectacle in the heart of Moscow, a stage for the unfolding of secrets that threatened to shatter the foundations of the Soviet Union. As the judge called the court back into session, the throng of people swelled, their eyes fixed on the defendants with a mixture of bewilderment and disbelief. The whispers of conspiracy had taken root, casting a web of doubt over the proceedings. Some believed Sokolov to be but a pawn in Yuri Andropov's game for power, while others saw him as a fallen hero brought low by an oppressive system. The courtroom became a battleground of conflicting narratives, each with its own truth and deception. The defendants sat, their faces a mask of stoicism, while the prosecution presented evidence that painted a damning picture of corruption and deceit. Yet, beneath the surface, cracks began to show in the story being told, as shadows of doubt began to cast themselves over the investigation. Outside the courtroom, the city buzzed with fervent debate. The people grappled with their admiration for these figures, torn between their loyalty and the shocking allegations that surfaced. As they navigated the complex maze of truth and deception, it became evident that the line between hero and villain had become blurred, leaving many to wonder who truly stood on which side. In this moment, as the trial continued its inexorable march towards resolution, one question hung heavily over Moscow. Was justice still possible when truth itself seemed a mere construct of convenience? As the people searched for answers, they were left with an unsettling realization. In a world built on lies and manipulation, it seemed that the cost of power had become immeasurable. Scene 5. The verdict, climax. Justice or politics? The courtroom, bathed in the muted hues of a Soviet sunset, held its collective breath as the presiding judge delivered his verdict. The gavel's resounding thud echoed through the heavy air, sending a shiver down the spines of those within earshot. The defendants, Tregubov and his allies, were found guilty, their faces contorted with a mixture of shock and resignation as they were led away, vanishing into the shadows of the imposing courthouse. Victor Grishin, once a close ally of Yuri Sokolov, remained unscathed. His stoic demeanor betrayed no emotion, his eyes reflecting a cunning calculus that hinted at the intricate dance of power and politics still unfolding beyond the courtroom's doors. The nation watched in silent despair as the verdict was read, grappling with the bitter reality that justice, at least in this instance, seemed more like a pawn in an ongoing game than an impartial arbiter of truth. The courtroom, once a symbol of hope for many, now stood as a monument to the enduring grip of communism on their lives and hearts. The people were left to ponder, was justice served in this trial, or did politics once again prove victorious over truth? As they returned to the cold embrace of Moscow's streets, their thoughts swirled with questions and doubts that echoed the turmoil rippling through the nation's heart. In the shadows, Yuri Andropov, the formidable chairman of the KGB, observed with a measured satisfaction. His machinations had set in motion a cascade of events that would forever alter the course of Soviet society. But as he retreated into the darkness, a shadow of uncertainty crept over his face. For even he could not predict the cost of these choices, nor how far the price of power and ambition might reach. Scene 6. Moscow's haunting reminder. As twilight cloaked Moscow in an enigmatic embrace, the spectral city seemed to hold its breath. The sun's descent cast long, ominous shadows over streets steeped in history, a reminder of the weight that hung heavy upon the once proud Soviet Union. The question that had haunted the nation for months now echoed through the stillness, reverberating off crumbling apartment buildings and whispering down forgotten alleyways. How far would one go to maintain their hold on power in the face of truth and justice? In the courtroom, where once hope and conviction danced amidst a sea of faces, now lingered only the cold weight of uncertainty. The verdict that had been delivered, as decisive as it was, did little to quell the storm of doubt that swirled within the hearts of many. For some, the trial served as an indictment of a system that corrupted even the most revered of its leaders. Yet for others, the outcome was yet another confirmation of the unshakable grip of communism upon their society. The specter of power, ever present and ever manipulative, seemed to cast its icy tendrils across the city, snuffing out any glimmer of hope that remained. In the quiet hours following the verdict's announcement, the streets of Moscow hummed with hushed conversations and whispered rumors. The people, now more than ever, grappled with their newfound disillusionment, wrestling with the bitter realization that truth and justice may never be as straightforward as they once believed. As twilight turned to night, and the city was swallowed by the inky darkness, one could not help but feel a profound sense of unease. The case of Yuri Sokolov, Nikolai Tregubov, and their associates served as a grim reminder of the cost of ambition and power, a cost that seemed to grow ever steeper with each passing day. In the end, the story of Moscow's tarnished heroes left the nation with more questions than answers. And as the people stood on the precipice of an uncertain future, they could not help but wonder, how far would they themselves go in search of truth and justice? The haunting silence that settled over the city seemed to offer no answers, only a chilling reminder of the price one must pay for their convictions.